Hello gorgeous peeps, this is Chris from TechSpert and I'm here with two very big, very expensive new Android handsets. Here on the left you have the Google Pixel 3 XL and here on the right Huawei's fresh new Mate 20 Pro. They're both very big but they support very different hardware and software, so let's do a full side-by-side comparison to see which one might be best for you. And don't forget, for more on the latest and greatest mobile tech, to ding that notifications bell and hit that subscribe button. Cheers! So first up, if you've got dinky hands like me, then either of these handsets is going to be a bit of a handful. As you can see, they're quite mighty blowers. In the case of the Mate 20 Pro, it is rocking a bigger screen. It's a 6.39 inch compared with the 6.3 inch Google Pixel 3 XL. However, the Huawei handset does also have more slender bezels, especially down the edges. As you can see there, the screen almost basically curves around the side of the device, and down below as well a much skinnier bezel too, which really makes a difference. The Mate 20 Pro is definitely a more slim handset. It's just more comfortable to clutch than the rather massive Pixel 3 XL. Both have quite big notches as well. It's quite a fat notch in the case of the Pixel 3 XL, extends quite far down into the display, whereas there's a nice girthy wide one here on the Mate 20 Pro. The reason for the Mate 20 Pro's big fat notch is the fact that it's got advanced 3D modeling tech in there, so it's got various depth sensors and the rest to really get an accurate representation of whatever is in front of it. Whereas I don't really know what the Google Pixel's excuse is, to be honest. Flip them both around and you'll see they support very different designs as well. Here on the Google Pixel, it's actually a hybrid of glass and metal. It's metal all the way up for most of the back, and then just at the top here you get a nice glossy strip, which is kind of difficult to make out on this white model, but you can just about see it there. It's quite a nice effect. It looks a bit shoddy on the black version, looks a bit basic to be honest, but this lovely ice white model is gorgeous. Whereas here on the Mate 20 Pro, it is fully glass. As you can see, it is quite glossy. It does scuff up a little bit, which you can really make out when it catches the light just so. But thankfully this Twilight model does offer some masking of all that, and as you can see, just a lovely stunning gradient effect. Not everyone will love the rather bulky camera chassis right there slapped in the middle, of course. Might prefer the more tucked out of the way, subtle effort on the Pixel. Good news is that both blowers are IP68 water resistant, so you can take them in the shower, the bath, whatever you fancy doing in your spare time. And both, touch wood, seem pretty rugged so far as well, no scratches or scuffs to date. Neither phone has a 3.5mm headphone jack unfortunately, but they do at least use a bit of Type-C for charging backup and data transfer. And you even get a bit of IR blaster up top on the Mate 20 Pro if you're still into that. As for fingerprint sensors, you do get a rear-mounted fingerprint sensor here on Pixel 3 XL. It's nice and swift and responsive straight into your desktops. In the case of the Mate 20, it's a bit more technologically advanced, however it's actually built into the screen itself, just a firm press and again straight into your desktops. And while you don't get any form of facial recognition on the Google Pixel 3 XL, you do have it here on the Mate 20 series. You can just raise to wake, it'll immediately scan your face and boom, you barely even see the lock screen. Works impressively well even in low light. So as I mentioned before, slightly bigger display here on the Mate 20 Pro, but the Google Pixel 3 XL isn't exactly dinky. It's nice and spacious for viewing photos, watching back movies, things like that. It's an OLED panel in both cases as well, so you get nice punchy visuals. They're nice and bright for those outdoor conditions, and you get nice sharp contrast as well. And both of them sport Quad HD Plus visuals, 3120x1440 here on the Mate 20 Pro and 2960x1440 here on the Pixel. The long and short of it is both of them offer really stunning image reproduction. Both great for a bit of Netflix, things like that. And if you jump on into the display settings, you'll see you have full customization over it all as well. If you jump into the colors mode here on the Pixel, you can choose to boost the colors, have it adaptive, more natural colors throughout. And again here on the Mate 20 Pro, you can boost it down from that vivid to the more normal mode, and that just gives you a more realistic image reproduction. And both phones offer a form of eye comfort mode, or night light as it's known here on the Pixel as well, so that just gives you a nice blue light filter for nighttime, just makes it easier on the eye. You also get dual speakers on both these blowers as well. They're actually front firing here on the Pixel. Nice meaty sound, although you do get distortion on those top volume levels, so either will be fine for watching a bit of YouTube in a noisy environment, but if you want to listen to music, we definitely recommend a bit of Bluetooth instead. Now of course both of these phones are rocking a nice bit of Android Pie action. It's in a nice vanilla form here in the case of the Pixel 3 XL, of course, as you would expect as it's a Google handset. But here on the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, you get Huawei's EMUI, EMUI version 9 slathered on top. That actually adds quite a bit of bonus functionality, although that said, the Pixel 3 XL does have quite a lot of features that are very similar. So for instance, you get the digital well-being here on the Pixel 3 XL, the digital balance here on the Mate 20 Pro. That basically just that's like a kind of digital nanny, just telling you exactly how much time you've wasted on your smartphone to tell you to go and put down your phone and have a nice conversation with a human being or something. You of course get full Google Assistant support on both of these handsets. You have to call it up in the usual way here on the Mate 20 Pro, whereas here on the Pixel 3 XL you can actually give the handset a bit of a squeeze and that Active Edge will automatically load up the Google Assistant. Now of course a quick swipe right and you're straight into your Google feed, which you can disable if you're not really a fan. One area where the Mate 20 Pro definitely wins out is the one-handed use. You can, for instance, swipe down across your navigation bar there and that just minimizes everything to make it much easier to use one-handed. You can also pull down the navigations bar, the quick tap of this icon here, and you'll find that most of the EMUI 9 apps now come with the menu built into the bottom as well. On the Pixel 3 XL you can swipe down the notifications tab with a swipe down the fingerprint sensor, though it's not the most responsive. Sometimes it takes a couple of swipes to actually get it to do anything. And that's pretty much your only one-handed help. There's no screen shrinking or anything like that on the go. However, we love the Android Pie navigation, just like dragging up in order to access your recent apps. You can pull all the way up to access all of your apps. It's just a really nice, intuitive way of doing things. I also love how you can skip between all the different apps just by moving your finger along down the bottom of the screen here. Thankfully, EMUI 9 also offers you the ability to do all that. If you jump into the gestures mode, you can then swipe up to get back home at any point. You can swipe up and hold your finger in order to access all of your recent apps. And if you're in an app, you can actually swipe this way just to get back. It's pretty neat, although sadly you don't have the ability to skip through all of your apps by swiping your finger at the bottom of the screen, which I do kind of miss. And of course the Pixel 3 XL will offer full call screening as well, which is a really neat feature, but that isn't actually available in the UK as of yet, so stay tuned for more on that. And one more benefit of picking Google's Pixel 3 XL over the Mate 20 Pro is the fact that the Pixel should of course receive those Android security updates and system updates in a much more timely fashion. Whereas in the case of the Mate 20 Pro, you'll have to wait for Huawei to sort of get its act together and get it all updated itself. Now in terms of performance, both handsets definitely impress. The Google Pixel 3 XL sports a Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 backed by 4 gigs of RAM, and it's pretty damn nippy. As you can see here, apps just load up instantly and everything. No problem here on the Huawei Mate 20 Pro either, which rocks Huawei's latest Kirin 980 chipset. As you can see, nice and quick. You certainly won't be hanging around. Everything is nice and smooth, no stuttering or anything like that. Things just load up the instant that you tap them. That said, in good old Geekbench, the Kirin 980 seems to absolutely blow away the Google Pixel 3 XL. It does have 6 gigs of RAM on board, so a bit more memory. Weren't expecting quite this sort of discrepancy in terms of the results. Of course, it could be the case that the Mate 20 Pro is simply gaming Geekbench a little bit, but there's certainly no denying the prowess of both of these handsets. Certainly if you're going into a 2-year contract, either will do the job nicely. And of course, if you want to play a nice bit of PUBG, you can expect a nice smooth frame rate with either of these handsets. Unfortunately, in the case of the Mate 20 Pro, it doesn't actually support those top detail settings just yet. As you can see, if you try and tap HD or HDR, it just says this update will be available soon. I'm sure by the time the Mate 20 Pro actually fully goes on sale and everything, it will be available, but right now you'll get obviously a perfectly smooth frame rate and it is an enjoyable experience still. And of course Huawei's GPU Turbo update just helps to keep that frame rate nice and smooth throughout. But even without that bit of GPU Turbo action, of course you can expect a great frame rate here on the Pixel 3 XL. You can bump all the way up to that HDR setting and you will of course get a nice smooth frame rate just as you'd expect. Lovely stuff. As for the battery tech though, Huawei's handset definitely impresses us more. It's got a bigger battery for a start, 4,200 mAh compared with the 3,430 mAh here on the Pixel 3 XL. I've been absolutely hammering this thing for a few hours now, and as you can see it's still at 75%. Pixel 3 XL I haven't been using quite as much and it's already down to 69. You also get faster charge here on the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. The Pixel 3 XL does support the usual fast charge, but here with the supercharge at 40 watts you can get a full charge in more or less an hour. And while both phones support wireless charging as well, it is faster here again on the Mate 20 Pro. You get 15 watts charging compared with the 10 watt charging here on the Pixel 3 XL. And impressively, you can actually use the Mate 20 Pro as a wireless charger using the reverse wireless charging feature. So if you've got a mate with a Qi wireless charging phone and they're running a bit low on juice, you can come to their help. As for the storage space, you've got a choice of 64 or 128 gigs here on the Pixel 3 XL. This is the 64 gig model, as you can see there, And on the Mate 20 Pro, it's a basic 128 gigs as standard. Of course, you do get the unlimited photo storage here on the Pixel 3 XL thanks to good old Google Photos, so that will help out, and that's at full resolution. Now, what about that camera tech? Well, as you can see, the Mate 20 Pro slightly has the Pixel 3 XL outnumbered in terms of number of lenses. Pixel 3 XL sticks with a single lens snapper just like last year's Pixel 2 XL, and the hardware is basically the same. It's a 12.2 megapixel shooter with an f1.8 aperture and a bit of built-in OIS. Here on the Mate 20 Pro, you get a 40 megapixel primary lens. It's an RGB lens with f1.8 aperture. That's backed by a 20 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide angle lens and an 8 megapixel telephoto lens f2.4 with built-in OIS. Oh, bit of a mouthful. If you dive on into the camera app, you'll see there's an absolute world of difference between the two. For a start, you've got quite limited manual controls with the Pixel 3 XL. You can basically change the brightness and have a bit of a tinker around with the color temperature as well. Whereas here on the Mate 20 Pro, you've got full Pro controls. So you can meddle around with the likes of the ISO levels, white balance, stuff like that. You do, of course, get a portrait mode on both of these boards, but again, the Mate 20 Pros is just that little bit smarter. You get some funky studio lighting effects, which you can play around with, for instance, and you can even tweak the kind of bokeh effect that you get in the background. And while the Pixel 3 XL promises a decent night mode, which basically helps you to shoot a really nice long exposure shot by taking lots of different snaps and combining them all, you don't actually have that just yet. It's a coming soon. Whereas here on the Mate 20 Pro, you already have that night mode, and it is absolutely stunning, just like on the P20 Pro before it. And of course, you've got a whole host of bonus camera modes here on the Mate 20 Pro, whereas you're a bit more limited here on the Pixel. But to be honest, a lot of these bonus camera modes are a bit crap, so you wouldn't even bother. And of course, you've got the usual augmented reality shenanigans if that's your bag. So what would you prefer? Would you like to have a burger on the table, or would you like to be an angry panda? As far as the video chops are concerned, both of these phones can shoot up to 4K resolution video. They do also have the option of Full HD at 60 frames per second here on the Mate 20 Pro, something you don't get here on the Pixel. That said, the Pixel does really impress when it comes to that image stabilization, something which Huawei still hasn't quite mastered at that 4K level. The front-facing cameras are quite different, however. If we flip them around and get into that photo mode, here on the Mate 20 Pro you get a 24 megapixel front-facing f2.0. Seems pretty good at your shot so far. You've of course got full portrait mode and everything, again with those studio lighting effects and everything that you might want. And of course you've got the portrait mode here on the Google Pixel 3 XL as well, if you like it, and it works pretty well despite the fact that it's just a single lens setup here on the Mate 20 Pro. In the case of the Pixel 3 XL, you've actually got a dual lens front-facing snapper. That secondary lens is a wide angle lens, so if you zoom in, it's just using the primary lens, and then once you start to zoom out, you see just a bit of a transition there. It flips to that wide angle lens. As you can see, you can zoom all the way out, something that you can't do here on the Mate 20 Pro. So it's definitely good if you've got lots of friends, like I don't, or if you just want to shoot a nice bit of cityscape action behind you, something like that. Of course, as mentioned before, you do have that advanced 3D modeling in the case of the Mate 20 Pro. So right there is how Huawei's awesome new Mate 20 Pro stacks up against Google's mighty Pixel 3 XL. As you can see, both big Android blowers with lots of different features and hardware to offer. Google's Pixel 3 XL offers some pretty solid performance, a nice bit of design work, and of course a perfectly vanilla version of Android Pie. On the other hand, you've got the Huawei Mate 20 Pro, which shows off with some sexy hardware such as that in-screen fingerprint sensor and that 3D modeling selfie camera. Unlike the Pixel, it's backed by some excellent performance and some really stellar battery life too, including the ability to wirelessly charge at 15 watts and fully cably charge at 40 watts. Is cably charge a thing? It is now. So which one would you personally go for? Either way, it's going to cost you an absolute packet, so it'll definitely be interesting to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe for more on the latest and greatest mobile tech. Cheers!